still struggle with some of those mental thoughts?
Well, as I said with the loop before, my confidence does increase, but if I do stumble for whatever reason, then it can go spiraling down again. Which is where physio has helped. If they're in my ear, they're like, no, you can still do it. Take the next step. Don't be afraid, we're here.
If you're comfortable sharing, do you have any particular goals you're shooting for at the moment?
I'd like to do most of those activities again. Maybe not the motorcycle riding. But snorkeling, walk along the beach, anything that's uneven. Yeah, just
Walking with a coffee cup.
yes. And don't spill it on myself.
I'm sure you've had lots of different physiotherapists throughout your journey.
Yep.
Has there been things that like set one physiotherapist out from the other that you found really helpful?
It's probably the encouragement. Some have been more in my ear, encouraging me, than others. Not to say that others weren't doing a great job, but just giving me encouragement is what really helps me.
Absolutely. Quote of the year, we're not just treating physical issues, we're touching lives. Absolutely.
So during your journey of rehab, so what kind of things, boost your confidence the most?
Well, with these sort of conditions, the progress is very slow, and you don't notice the improvements that you make until I've seen those graphs. I didn't realise I was that bad. So, just as I said, celebrate every milestone. Let them know, hey, you've finally been able to walk 10 metres under double digits.
Yeah. We talk a lot about setting goals, but actually celebrating achieving the goal is something that I definitely could do a lot more of. So it's good to hear.
Yep.
I'm wondering, we asked about positive traits. Are there any memories of negative interactions with any health professionals that they probably wouldn't have insight to, but anything you found along your journey?
I know one student, not bad, and he's not here today, he was at a different uni, so you might be pleased. He didn't seem to quite understand the struggles of the inflammation, because he would set a target on the step up
Yep.
for me to hit,
Yep.
but I'd miss.
Yep.
I was getting frustrated,
Yep.
he was getting frustrated.
Yep.
So,
So that it wasn't adequately set to the right level. And yeah, okay.
it's more of an understanding. He thought I didn't understand exercise.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But I did.
Yep.
It was just, I was struggling.
Yep. That's really helpful.
Any other questions? Jen?
Ricky, thank you so much, because I think it is so important to hear the voice of those that we're looking after and know that it's not just about giving out, it's what does it mean to the other side. But can I ask, you were in the period of COVID, so were you always having face-to-face, or did COVID affect, did you have to have telehealth sometimes?
Physio would be postponed,
Yeah.
so they weren't able to offer face-to-face because in Penn Hospital where I was having the treatment, they actually had an outbreak at one stage.
So how long was it that you didn't have physio at the time?
1 to 2 months.
Yeah.
And it was hard to do the at-home physio program because I didn't have the
telehealth?
No.
If I can just add to that, I think we were offering telehealth at that time to patients that could safely do things at home, but I think with Ricky, in order for him to achieve anything out of the session, it required assistance and our support, so,
Safety's important.
it wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, because I was considered a high fall risk. It's funny, the nurses, when I was in hospital, they like, don't you move from the bed. You guys will come around and go, come on Ricky, come on, out there, come on. And I'm like, but.
Very accurate.
Showed some fantastic videos of your wife helping out. Seems like you've had a good support network.
Yep.
Any recommendation, maybe from you guys as well, any recommendations for our students in terms of how they can engage with the broader support teams, not just the patient, but their family or whoever else might be helping out?
Well, I think with these sort of conditions, maybe to help with the at-home physio program, getting with a loved one or support person, whoever, and showing them, okay, this is what they're doing wrong, but this is the correct technique. Because the average day person isn't going to notice when I'm not weight shifting or things that you will spot, not Bobby from the conversation.
There were some other hands I saw.
Do you think things were explained well along the way, or do you think your education was kind of put to the side, like with you understanding the condition and why you were doing the exercises and stuff?
Well, it took me a while to wrap my head around it. I don't know if the doctors would have done it themselves, but I actually asked for some information on the condition. Because the condition only affects 1 in 1 million people. Cerebella isn't that rare, but it's the gain antibodies with the cerebella that's rare. I'd definitely say there's improvement required for education.
So you mentioned that you are scared of falls. So what kind of treatment do you think helps you the most to deal with the fear of falls?
Well, see, this is the tricky thing. I just wanted to keep the walker, but you physios are like, no, that's not it. I remember one physio, I'm like, I went to go hold Sarah's hand back to the car, and he's like, he didn't slap it, he like sort of pushed it down, and said, no, you don't need to do it, you can do it. Again, that's a positive reinforcement.
I'm just interested to know what your schedule of physiotherapy is like at the moment in terms of like going between public health physios and private health physios, and then how you incorporate that into your everyday life.
I'm going to go to physio privately soon through NDFAS. But I know there can be a shortage of staff at hospitals that can make it tricky for, to balance inpatients, outpatients, and there's probably a shortage of physios that can work with neurological stuff that really understand it. Because before I had this condition, when I heard the word physiotherapy, I just thought of like sports injuries, that sort of stuff, not stroke, amputees, or that sort of stuff.
Hands up, who thought that when they signed up for the degree?
Everyone's Roger Federer's physio.
Took you 3 years to get to a point where you're being able to get up those stairs without assistance, without holding on.
I probably could have done it earlier,
How much actual therapy and exercise and effort is that? Is that equivalent to?
Sort of hard because at first I couldn't do much other than 2 hours a week because I had to retrain the brain. Now I probably do about 6 hours of actual physio work a week, but then also just navigating daily life is sort of training it too, because I'm mindful of like, okay, I'm almost sort of hearing the physios in my ear. Yeah.
Awesome. 6 hours of dedicated practice and then lots of additional practice integrated throughout
Not
the day.
always 6 hours.
Anywhere between 5 and 12.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys? Oh, you've got time to get 2 more.
So like you mentioned, the improvements are very small and it takes tremendous effort as the process is quite long for the rehab. So what supports you for all the way through the process, not giving up?
What was that last part, sorry?
So what's supposed to, stick on the rehab, not giving up,
At times I found it hard with the motivation, but it helped seeing the difference over time. Like taking almost 2 minutes to walk 10 metres, then to get it even like 20 seconds is a major improvement, I think. Because at that time I thought, my life's over. I told my wife she could leave me if she wanted, because I didn't want to be a burden on her. But she stuck around, so it mustn't be too bad.
So how about your family,
But yeah, just people constantly getting in my ear telling me, don't give up, you can do it.
Time for one more.
Can I maybe ask your family a question, if that's alright?
Yeah.
What have you guys found the most helpful from physio across this whole journey?
Probably there'd be a few different things. I think maybe consistency would be one. Having their contact details so I know who to contact if Ricky doesn't do his home physio. Things like that. Hard to say. Me personally, I found the same. The physio stuff he had to do was very repetitive, so I found it boring after a while just sitting there as a
How do
Yeah.
you do it for a living? I don't know.
I just let the support workers do it after a few months, and I just went to work. But I think another thing that helped Ricky with motivation as well, which he didn't mention, was coffee. Because every physio session halfway through, where's my coffee? Where's the coffee lady? Coffee hasn't come, can you go get me a coffee, Sarah?
So consistency, accessibility, and